Okay, this is going to be a little bit of a different video of why the NASCAR playoffs are dumb. Everyone knows why they're broken. Everyone has mutually accepted why they're broken. And many fans are happy that NASCAR is finally making a change. But one thing that I don't even talk about is why don't NASCAR fans accept playoffs? Why don't NASCAR fans accept these things? Here's my opinion on the whole situation. Other sports in the last century or so have introduced postseason format. I'm not going to get into the details of why, mostly because I haven't done any research. This is mostly off the cuff, if you couldn't tell already. But basically, there's a fine balance between legitimacy and entertainment. And some sports do this very well. In the NFL, there are two conferences, the NFC and the AFC. And the best teams from both of those divisions come together head-to-head in the Super Bowl following a month process of whittling down a couple wild card berths, the NFC divisional game, the AFC divisional game, then the championship game for both divisions, and then finally the Super Bowl. Simple, to the point. We understand this. The best team of the NFC and the best team of the AFC go head-to-head. We understand. We accept this. Baseball and basketball follow a similar structure. There's the National League in baseball and the American League. And the best from both those teams go head-to-head in a best-of-4 scenario in the World Series. We have the wild card round, and keep in mind, the MLB updated this recently. The wild card, the divisional round, the championship round, and finally the World Series itself. NBA, similar thing. Hockey is got something similar, but they're a little more rapid-fire, fast-paced. In fact, it's pretty difficult to win the Stanley Cup in the NHL, much less go back-to-back in it. Anyway, NASCAR, on the other hand, due to its nature of being a motorsport, and there's not really teams per se. There's up to 40 drivers fighting each other for the win every single weekend of the season. So in NASCAR's case, it's kind of hard to, have a postseason because these guys face each other every weekend. Whereas in baseball, for example, the Dodgers, up until the season realignment, they never faced the Yankees unless it was a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. The only time they ever face the Yankees is the postseason and the World Series. Same with basketball. Outside of a few things, and now it's the only time you ever see the Lakers face, the Orlando Magic was the postseason. They would never face each other in the regular season. NASCAR, on the other hand, Jimmy Johnson faces Jeff Gordon every single weekend, no matter what. Right? Kyle Larson faces Christopher Bell every weekend, no matter what. Denny Hamlin faces J.J. Haley every weekend, no matter what. Right. So with this in mind, why do we need a points reset? It never made any sense because you guys face each other every weekend of the year, and NASCAR fans have come to accept that building your momentum, building your points, is the best way to get a championship, right? They understand that the guy who finishes first every weekend is more deserving than the guy who finishes, 20th for 20th. And added on to that, the first chase, while flawed, you can kind of understand where NASCAR coming from. They thought, okay, we need a postseason. What do we do? To the top 10 in points, who built up a high momentum throughout the year, with no points reset, and then those 10 guys go compete for a title, right? It seems okay on paper, but one small problem: Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals, those devils, those masterminds, took that format and took gross advantage of it. What Jimmy would do, oh my God, it was great. He would get 2 to 3 wins in the regular season, right? And he would always be up front, but, he wouldn't be, competing for wins like, say, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart in his summer runs, the Roush Racing Company, whatever the hell. Then Jimmy Johnson would come into the postseason and go on a tear. So, a great example, 2006. He started the chase second in points, despite leading the points all year long. He dropped down to 8th in points by race 5. Then he finished second at Charlotte, won Martinsville, then second, and built up enough momentum and kept everyone else behind him because they all had bad races to where he won that first title. Right? Same with the 2007 season. Yeah, he won 4 wins by May and won 6 by the chase, but then he won 4 in a row from from Atlanta through Phoenix. 4 straight, all right? And was able to catch Jeff Gordon and beat him. Shit's crazy. 2008. So 2008 was an off year, to be honest. He didn't get a win till Phoenix, and then things kind of simmered down despite getting 2 wins at California and Richmond, and then he went on a tear in the postseason, and he won the title that way. 2009, that was Mark Martin's year. He was the class of the field. Jimmie Johnson was better than the Jays. 2010, it was going to be Denny Hamlin's year. Kevin Harvick, he was better than the Chase. Jimmie Johnson was. 2011. Oh my, 2011 was a chaotic year, to be honest. Jimmie Johnson was completely off that year, did not have a shot at the title. But you know who did? Tony Stewart. And he shouldn't have been there in the first place. Yes, he won 5 times in the final 10 races, but he spent 2011 off the pace. And because Carl Edwards only had 1 win back in Vegas, that's what got Tony Stewart the title. 2012 was a weird one. Brad Keselowski was a good driver all year long, and this led to a championship late in the year. But Jimmie Johnson was sniffing at his heels going into Homestead. If that part didn't fail on him in Homestead, good chance he won that year. 2013, the Jimmy was good all year. Give it to him that, man. So NASCAR decided to make what I dub the March Madness bracket. They call it the playoffs, but let's be real. They took their inspiration from the March Madness. Now, here's where, going back to what I said about baseball, basketball. College basketball fans, from what I understand, have fully accepted March Madness for what it is. They accept lower teams going on runs. That's special. They expect higher ranked teams to sometimes not go very far, and that happens too. They accept that. NASCAR fans don't. They've never accepted that. So 2014, things were going up according to plan, right? Everything was lined up, but there was one small problem. Final round, it was Brad Keselowski. He missed it. Ryan Newman somehow made it. Jeff Gordon, who had one of his best years since 2007, he missed it too. In the championship that year, Kevin Harvick won it, and granted, he should have won it, to be fair. But Ryan Newman finished second in points. Second in points with no wins. Now keep in mind, Joey Logano had a good year that year too. He finished 4th in points because the jack fell on him during a pit stop. And Denny Hamlin was off the pace, he finished 3rd. And that's in spite of him getting the win at Dega back in March. That should have been a red flag that the playoffs weren't going to work. 2015 saw a similar story. Kyle Busch missed half the year. He was in the Final Four. Jeff Gordon had a very off year for his retirement tour. He won at Martinsville. That got him in the postseason. Kevin Harvick was there on points, and Truex, despite having only 1 win, he was off the pace too. But Kyle Busch, despite missing half the year, won the damn championship. What's going on here? The dude was like 35th in points at one point. But he's the champion? No. 2016 is probably the most infamous one. Jimmie Johnson won it, and I've gone on record saying that Jimmy's title in 2016 was his least deserving of all 7 of his titles. And that's in spite of him winning 5 times that year. Carl Edwards was the class of the field, and if he didn't get crashed out late in the race, he would have won the damn thing. Joey Logano had damage too. Kyle Busch probably deserved it. And here's the dirty little secret. The title that year would have gone to Kevin Harvick. Let that sink in. Harvick would have been a 2-time champion if it wasn't for the fucking playoffs. 2017 was the one year that made sense. Truex Jr. won a bunch of races, was up front all year long. He was in the final hunt. He deserved the champion. Blah, 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 blah. 2017 is fine. 2018 was a horseshit year, too. Let me tell you why. So 2018, for the first time since 98, had 1 to 2 drivers dominating all year long. Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. And right on their heels was Truex Jr. The only other drivers who got wins that year going into the playoffs were Brad Keselowski, who finally won at Indianapolis, and Clint Boyer, who won twice that year in Martinsville and Michigan. Besides them, the only other one that year was Austin Dillon at Daytona in February, Eric Jones at Daytona also in July, and Chase Elliott at Watkins Glen. But besides that, the rest of the races were won by Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, and Truex Jr. The fucking ass kicking of a season. Now, by Homestead, Harvick had amassed 8 wins, Truex amassed 4 wins, Kyle Busch also amassed 8 wins. You would think those 3 would be the one of those 3 would be the championship, right? Wrong. The champion that year was fucking Joey Logano, who won twice so far going into Homestead, at Talladega in April and Martinsville in September. He won at Homestead, that got him the title. So all that hard work was literally for nothing. You could win 8 races and it would not matter. Hell, it gets even worse. Well, Kevin Harvick almost missed the final 4 because his car fails post-race inspection at Texas in November. And keep in mind, this was also in the year where Kevin Harvick failed post-race inspection back after Phoenix. Or was it Vegas? I don't remember. It was the race where Harvick's rear window dipped in for downforce. All right? If Harvick could have easily missed the final 4 because of NASCAR's rules on post-race inspection at the time. See, at the time, the win would still stand, but all your points you won would be taken away. Now it's a lot more blunt. If you fail post-race, they take the win away too. I accept that. That's fine. And that's the funny thing. Well, the funny thing is like Jimmy Johnson finishing second at a Coke 600 in 2020. No, back to the field for you. Denny Hamlin winning that Pocono. Give it to Chase Elliott. Parker Kligerman finally getting the win at Daytona in 25. Nope, give it to Heim. He finished second. Oh my lordy. NASCAR's a funny sport. But anyway, so Logano won 2018. 2019 is also pretty consistent. Kyle Busch won a bunch of races. I don't think he won a race since, I don't remember when his last win was, but he was pretty silent, but very consistent, always up front. He won the title that year. The other 3 contenders were Truex Jr. in his first year with Joe Gibbs. Denny Hamlin also. So Joe Gibbs ran 3 spots, and the final spot went to, I don't remember. Yeah, it was Harvick again. Harvick versus Joe Gibbs racing. And Kevin Harvick lost the title to Kyle Busch. Fun. 2020 is when things really show their ugly head. Let me tell you why. So, Kevin Harvick, I'm talking about Harvick a lot, you can tell. I'm not even a Harvick fan. He had one of the best years of his career up to that point. And that's in spite of winning the Daytona 500 in 2007, the Pre-Card 400 in 2004, and the championship in 2014. Harvick won 8 times going into the Final 4. And he had an average finish of 7.8. One of the best seasons since Jeff Gordon in 1998. And on his heels was Denny Hamlin, who also had a very impressive 8 wins, I think. So those 2 kicked ass all year long. But despite all of that, Harvick was not in the Final 4. He lost the final spot because he didn't have a good enough car at Martinsville. And out of desperation, he crashes Kyle Busch, and he loses the playoffs. Loses his spot in the Final 4. And to add insult to injury, Harvick also had bad runs at Kansas because Joey Logano took advantage of the atrocious 550 horsepower package and kept aero blocking Harvick, so Harvick couldn't get a run on him despite Harvick having a faster car. And he also got into some bad luck at Texas, which was weather delayed. A little fun fact about the Texas race. 2020, as you may know, was the year of the pandemic, and as a result, other sports had found creative ways to have their championship games. NBA took theirs to Miami, Florida. Everyone played under the same roof. NHL took all the teams to Canada, cut the season short, finished the season up there. And Major League Baseball had their playoff games in neutral hosting sites. But look, the funny thing is like the Houston Astros playing at Dodger Stadium against another team. Even though the Houston just got caught with that. Anyway, so the World Series itself was played at the new Texas Rangers Stadium, which was just open for business. But of course, Rangers didn't play to a crowd until the World Series. Dodgers against Tampa Bay. And because that stadium had a roof over its head, they were talking about rain during the broadcast. And because the state racetrack wasn't too far from the stadium, you can guess what happened after that. So the champion in 2020 was Chase Elliott. Now Chase had a pretty decent 2020. Not as good as Harvick, but you know, you can make the case that Chase deserved it. I don't think he did. Blah, blah, whatever. 2021 was the last year of the Gen 6 car, Kyle Larson's redemption tour after 2020. He won 10 times at an absurd average finish of 9 point something. The only one who had a better one was Denny Hamlin at like 6 or 7, but Kyle Larson won the championship, and he deserved it no matter what format you threw at him. Fine. So in 2021, no problem. 2019, no problem. 2017, no problems. And then comes 2022. Now, for context of 22, I should mention a couple things. This is the first year of the next-gen car, which promises more parity among drivers and promises better racing, blah, 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 all that good stuff. Now, granted, the next-gen car has delivered on there being parity. There's been more teams who have a chance to win races. Now, 2022, what Derek Jones should have won multiple times, only won once. Trackhouse Racing really got their start here, even though they started in 2021. Bubba Wallace won a race in Darlington. Tyler Reddick won a couple races. Kyle Busch won the Brits Alert race. Basically, a lot of wacky stuff happened. And as a result of this, no one had more than 3 to 4 wins on anyone else that year. So really, it was anyone's race going into the final race. And that's in spite of Chase Elliott being the fan favorite thanks to his multiple wins. I think 5 he won up to that point. And better average finish. Chase Elliott and Ross Chastain tangled, and Chase was out of the race. Joey Logano won. At the time, I was miffed about this, but I thought, you know what, it's whatever. Joey had a couple of good races here and there. He's fine. Oh boy, was I in for a treat. 2023. The winningest driver that year was another Hendrick driver, William Byron. William Byron was nowhere near championship form all race long. He finished 4th, I believe, that day. Ryan Blaney had a faster car than Kyle Larson. Or wait, not even that. Kyle Larson had a fast car. Ross Chastain had a faster car. And because, dirty, clean air is so crucial, when Kyle Larson lost the lead, Ryan Blaney was able to catch him and get the championship. Ryan Blaney, believe it or not, had the worst average finish for any champion up to that point. Let that sink in. Ryan didn't win the race. He only won once or twice that year, and he was the champion. In fact, I remember this. See, in years previous, when the championship won the damn thing, it would go on a tour, fans would be happy and excited, all this stuff. Blaney winning was the first time I've ever seen the champion not get any attention, and I'll show you a good example. So Ryan Blaney is best friends with Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace is a very controversial figure in NASCAR, but he is a fan favorite as well. Anyway, Bubba goes to a basketball game with Ryan Blaney. The basketball team's Twitter account says, Bubba's in the house. And they purposely cropped the picture to show just Bubba. They cropped out the champion. If that's not a sign people don't care, I don't know what is. 2024 saw a similar story. Joey Logano won the title. That's in spite of him having by far the worst average finish. And the way he won it was bullshit too. So Logano got knocked out early after the Roval race. But because Alex Bowman's car failed post-race inspection, he got eliminated and Joey got put back in place. Joey Logano showed in Nashville that he does a very good job saving fuel, a lot better than anyone else. And he was able to take advantage of this, and thanks to Ryan Blaney being off the pace of being a bodyguard, he was able to win the race. 2024 is not looked back on very fondly because that was the year where championship implications and cheating really reared its ugly head. And here's the thing. It wasn't like in the past where Junior Johns would enter an extra car so that Darrell Waltrip would not finish dead last, right? No. It wasn't like when Mr. Hendrick entered a car for himself so that Jeff Gordon could win the race. No. What was happening was he had situations, and where it really started was at the 4th of July Daytona race. The September Daytona race before the Southern 500, where Parker Retzlaff, who was driving the Beard Oil Chevrolet, was doing a typical superspeedway move. He gave Harrison Burton a push. Harrison Burton took the lead, won the race. But shouldn't have done that because Kyle Busch needed the win more. And Richard Childress and Chevrolet chewed Parker Retzlaff out for this. How was that Parker's fault again? It's a race Daytona. Your friends are where you can find them. And Harrison had a faster car. That's why this continued at the Talladega race. The radio communications from Kyle Larson showed that he was explicitly told, don't push the 6. Don't push the 6. Give Chevy the win. Now, granted, the Chevy that won Stenhouse was not in the playoff line, so fine, whatever. But what does it matter? If Keselowski had a faster car, work with him, right? There's no need to be this stupid. And it continues. Barnesville is where it showed really bad. So, William Byron needed to make it. Ross Chastain and Austin Dillon, and 2 other Chevy drivers, decided to hold back. Hold back as much as they can. Slow down, slow the pace, give William a big enough lead so he stays up in front. While that was happening, Bubba Wallace pits out of sequence, gives Christopher Bell a spot. Christopher Bell had a poor handling car, especially on this new tire. And Bell tried the wall ride to gain a spot, like Ross Chastain did a couple years ago. It didn't work out. And the whole thing really exposed how much these manufacturers would manipulate these damn races. Ozzy Naganowski said it best before he took the video down. It's point shaming, especially when there's money involved. It was really bad. And to add insult to injury, all that drama, all that hype just led to a Joey Logano championship. Joey Logano that year took the crown as the worst average finish, least win, least deserved champion in all of NASCAR. Joey is a 3-time champion, tied with Cale Yarborough, behind Jeff Gordon, and Joey is nowhere near the talent of those two, if we're being honest. But the record books say otherwise. It's okay. Oh my god. This year, in 2025 was really where NASCAR lost the damn plot. So, I didn't even mention this. During all this Cup drama, Xfinity and Trucks also got the playoffs, right? And there were some bullshit ones in there too. In 2016, William Byron was far and away the class to field in the Truck Series. But because he blew an engine at Phoenix in the final race, he's not the champion. Right? In 2018, Tyler Reddick, despite having a poor year by junior motorsport standards, was the champion. Now, granted, he redeemed himself in 2019, but that's beside the point. Corey Heim should be a 3-time champion by now. He's only a 1-time champion. Because Carson Hocevar crashed him out in 2023. And in 2024, time would just get a faster car in Phoenix. So that's why Corey Heim's not the champion in those 2 years. This year, Connor Zillage in Xfinity was the class of the field. 10 wins, multiple finishes above top 5. His worst finish up to that point was like 10th or something. He's not champion because Jesse Love had a better car at Phoenix. Let that sink in. Jesse Love, who only won 1 race this year, is the champion. Connor Zillage, 10 wins. He's not. And the Cup Series had its own fair of stupid moments. Someone did the math after the race, and as it turns out, the one with the most points at the end of the season was Kyle Larson. He should have been champion. Kyle Larson won the championship in 25. But the way he won it felt so hollow, because NASCAR built themselves up as Game 7, winner take all. Denny Hamlin made the Final 4. And if we're being honest, he probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. He missed Mexico. And under the Winston format, he was 7th in points. Under the current format, he was, I think, 5th or 4th or something. Basically, Hamlin shouldn't have been there. Right? But Hamlin was the class of field of Phoenix. He led pretty much every lap for the most part. He was always running up front. The only one who would challenge him for the lead was William Byron. William Byron, ironically, screwed Hamlin out of a title because coming to 2 laps to go, William Byron blew a tire because everyone was having tire problems that day. Everyone came to pit. Hamlin took 4 tires because, I'm going to let you in on a secret, Corey Haim almost lost the title that year too. But what saved him was he took 4 tires when everyone else took 2, and he was able to pass everyone with a single bonsai move down to the bottom, because Phoenix does allow that to happen. Hamlin tried it. It didn't work out too well for him. The one who won the race, surprisingly, was Ryan Blaney. And I hear it surprisingly, because it's a little dirty secret about NASCAR. The final race from 2014 to now had the top 4 in points race hard, and everyone else not race hard. So what ends up happening is the top 5 would usually be championship 4 drivers, and everyone else would just hold back. Great example, Kyle Busch's worst track going into Homestead 2015 was Homestead itself, but Kyle Busch won the race. Jimmy Johnson was never really good at Homestead, but he won the race in 2016. Kevin Harvick's best track is Phoenix, but despite that, he was dog shit at Phoenix in 21 and 20. Right? And Penske was really good at Phoenix in the fall in 22, 23, 24, but they were never good in the spring for some reason. And I thought the same thing would happen in 25. I don't know what happened, but for some reason, everyone that day came there to race. There was no holding back. Sure, Hamlin had the lead, but it wasn't like they gave it to him. He earned his spot to be there. Right? The Penske duel of Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney were catching him. They really were catching him. They caught Byron, and they were hounding him for the lead. Everyone was trying that day. It was crazy. So you can imagine, final restart, Brad Keselowski had the lead, but Ryan Blaney passed him on the last turn. It should have been a classic race to the finish. It has been soured because Denny Hamlin lost the title to Kyle Larson. And the way Kyle won it is so hollow. Or not even hollow. Larson, by all metrics, earned it because he won the most points. He earned it. But because NASCAR set up the expectation of, winner take all, blah, 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 and Hamlin showed the speed and the skill, it makes it seem like Kyle Larson robbed the title from Denny Hamlin, when that's not the case. It's insane. It really is. So what we got is NASCAR is fans who won't accept, playoffs because that's not something they're used to, and something they won't accept. And NASCAR thinking they'll accept that because it works in other sports. And that's how you get things like this, where Denny Hamlin, despite being class of the field that day, doesn't win the title. Yet Corey Haim, who should have been a 3-time champion, is a 1-time champion. Connor Zillage, who should have an Xfinity title, doesn't. William Byron should have a truck title. He doesn't. And there's other stupid shit too, like Jesse Love being champion, Joey Logano being a 3-time champion. All kinds of insanity because NASCAR is so gun-ho and stubborn to just let things go. And something else to consider, this was one of many dumb decisions NASCAR made under Brian France's leadership. And Brian France, as it turns out, was high as a kite when he made these decisions. So is it really a surprise that alongside other of NASCAR's unpopular decisions, that Brian France also okayed this, right? And keep in mind also, in 2015, Brian France thinks Joey Logano did a good job wrecking Matt Kenseth out. The CEO of NASCAR thought it was okay to cause road rage for the title. If that's not the definition of stupid, I don't know what is. So there's been a lot of discussion from NASCAR over whether they're going to go to a keep the playoffs and make some tweaks, go 3-3-4, go back to full points. Quite honestly, if you ask me, we should go back to full points. Sure, it may hurt short term, but just making NASCAR legitimate again would go a long way in repairing the sport into what it used to be. It'll never be 2000s popular again. But my God, the damage is so bad that they need really to clean house. They really do. And I hope NASCAR does it sooner rather than later.